Hello, everyone. So I wasn't sure if I was going to film this video. Miley Cyrus just dropped a new song. We're not sure if this is actually a single for her upcoming supposed EP called She Is Here. For anyone who is not familiar, Miley has decided to do her this coming studio album. I forget what number it is. I'm sorry, forgive me. I think it's her seventh studio album. Miley's decided to divided up into three parts that are going to be three distinct EPs. We already got She Is Coming back at the end of May, which, by the way, I did not film a review for, and there's a reason for that. I did not like it. I almost did film a review. I really did. But like on this channel, I really don't want to be about that negative energy. I knew I was going to get a ton of hate from it. I will say that Mother's Daughter, which was the single from that project, stood out to me, and that's the one song I've been listening to. But the rest of the project, there were a few harmless songs that I was like, okay, this ain't bad. But there were a few songs where it was completely going back to trashy, drug-obsessed Miley from the Bangers era. And I'm just not about that scene. I'm sorry. I'm just not about, especially with Miley, knowing that she can be so bipolar with her influences. Like one minute she's like on Dolly Parton's arm in Nashville. The next minute she's like twerking and doing cocaine in Miami with, whoever. It's like, I don't understand. But at the same time, like, people have layers. People have different personas. Okay, makes you more than just a one-trick pony. So, but the main reason why I wanted to also film this video, not just because I think that this song Slide Away is actually pretty good. I was really surprised because I looked at the cover and I was just like, we got pills and bottles in a swimming pool. So like, I heard that this song was going to be about addiction. So I was like, oh, okay, maybe this is about like trying to get away from that. And it does sound like it is to a certain extent, but there's a lot of layers to this song and I want to talk about it because for those of you who don't know, Miley and Liam have just broken up. And it looks like, they've done this before, but it really does look like this is like it for them. Never say never. You never know with these couples. Sometimes they just cool it off for a little while, spend some time apart. But I don't think that Miley and Liam, they've tried it already to come back together. Unfortunately, I don't think it's in the stars for them anymore. I think at one point it was, and I think Miley and Liam are, especially in Miley's case, a classic example of how there are soulmates out there for you, but sometimes there's a soulmate that's only really there for a certain point of your life. People don't necessarily are not always meant to be with you throughout every stage of your life. I really do think that Liam was a soulmate for Miley and vice versa. But as Miley references in this song, we're not 17 anymore. I really do think, it's been 10 years since they've met. I really do think that the previous 10 years was the era in which Miley and Liam were at their most compatible. And I think recently it's been a seasonal shift for Miley where it's, no longer in the stars for them to work out together. So they had an amazing thing together. I'm not going to deny it. And I'm really sad to see them split up, but I'm also not that surprised. And at first I was going to get a little bit more leaning into my vindictive, judgy behavior, like, oh, Liam's too good for Miley. Miley's acting trashy again. Good riddance, like we don't want Bangers Miley anyway. I wouldn't want to be married to that. I hate saying that. It's just, that's my personal preference. 2013 was rough being a Miley Cyrus fan. It was rough. Wrecking Ball was a moment, but like it was rough. Younger Now was this moment where I was just like, oh my God, Miley is here. Talk about She Is Here, right? Like, I know some people thought that album, even country fans, was still kind of cheesy and lackluster. And, it wasn't the greatest thing under the sun by any means. But I really appreciated that record and just the aura and ambiance of that project for what it was. It's really sad that 2 years later, we're getting such a complete shift. And if you listen to Malibu and then listen to Slide Away, it really hits you in the feels because she references in the lyrics. Looking at these lyrics, I can't help but just want to cry. For those who don't know the timeline, Miley and Liam, like I said, met 10 years ago. He actually proposed to her in 2012, so they were engaged for a brief moment, but the engagement didn't last very long. They separated in 2013. Miley went full ratchet. We had the bangers moment. Cooling on down from that in 2015, they reunited, and slowly in 2016, it just grew into this thing. They got a house in Malibu together. That's where, of course, the song came from, and that whole record, living with all their animals. And then they got married in December of 2018, but not long before that marriage, their house was actually burned down. There's a lyric in the Woolsey fire that hit in Malibu last November. There's a lyric that said, "Once upon a time it was made for us, woke up one day and it turned to dust." That really hit home for me. It's like, that must have been such a symbolic thing for Miley. I think, I mean, she obviously wouldn't have had any doubts about the relationship at that point after that had happened, because she talks about in interviews at the time that the Woolsey fire just brought Liam and Miley more close together. That's why they finally got married, at Christmas time last year. And to have, only 8 months later, to be in such a different place, it does make me wonder what actually, after the fact, the fire sort of symbolized to Miley. Like, perhaps that was a sign to her that that era of her life just wasn't jiving with her anymore, that she was wanting to move on to something else. And what really tugs at my heart is it says, "Maybe we were found, but now we're lost, so it's time to let it go. So won't you slide away back to the ocean? I'll go back to the city life." So she's leaving Malibu and going back up to the Hollywood Hills. Yeah, not so sure how I feel about that. Because I'd much prefer Malibu Miley, who's like a little bit more country. But yeah, she's undergoing this transformation, and it's really hard for both parties. I really respect that Miley put this song out right now to sort of like express that it's not been like easy. A lot of people think that Miley was the one who cheated this time around. I know back in the day, it seemed to be that Liam was the one cheating on her. That's why Wrecking Ball was the song that came out. But this time around, a lot of rumors have surfaced that she was actually cheating on Liam with another woman. And of course, Miley has expressed, her fluid sexuality in the past. And so she feels guilty. This isn't Wrecking Ball. This is a song that's very pensive and nostalgic and reflective. And honestly, although it has this sort of more edgier kind of production that you would expect on like a 2019 Miley song, it actually sounds very much like a throwback Miley song from the late 2000s. The album Breakout, which is one of my favorite Miley Cyrus records, in fact, it might be my favorite Miley Cyrus record, this sounds like it could have been lifted straight from that record. I mean, it has that sort of airy, soaring melody. It also sounds like Can't Be Tamed with the production. I was expecting such a more hip-hop driven song, again, looking at the cover. But honestly, I think that that's all just pure symbolism. I think that, although she is also referencing drugs and being a bit addicted at times and trying to move away from that, I think that that's all kind of a metaphor for a bigger change that was happening in her life, where she was drifting away from Liam. And yeah, it's really bittersweet. I don't know what else to say, but honestly, this song, it sweeps you over like a wave. It definitely has a beachy vibe, which makes it hella nostalgic because it makes you think of Malibu, makes you think of Liam because, he was this surfer, Australian guy. And Miley's just basically saying, go back home. And I feel really bad for Liam in a way because it's like, gosh, was Miley just stringing him along all this time? And he for 10 years, I don't know if he thinks is this a waste of my time? I hope he doesn't think that, because like I said, they were meant to be together for the times they were meant to be together, but they just weren't meant to be together their whole lives. It's just not like that for every couple. And so at the end of the day, we can only celebrate the love that they had. I will say this though, and I'm sorry, I really wish I didn't have to get preachy on here, but the fact that they got married really does, especially so soon. If they got married back in 2016, and then they tried out the marriage for a few years, it wouldn't be quite so hard to swallow this news. But the fact, it's so cringy and sad that they did get married then, I really wish they hadn't. I really do think that spur of the moment weddings are not a good idea. I'm sorry. I know I'm a diehard romantic and I'm all about wedding. I'm not like an anti-wedding or anything like some people are. I know, especially in gay culture in 2019, like who gets married, right? Like F that. But I'm a romantic and I want to get married one day, but marriage is really serious. I think people don't really. I mean, at the same time, I'm not going to be one of those people who's like, it's so serious that you can't get divorced. Like, no, I'm not like that. I'm not that kind of conservative person. I'm just saying, like, people get married because it's cool and it's like the media wants them to. And I just don't think, and it's not just people in Hollywood. I see it all the time with like people who are in their 20s getting married. And I'm just like, wait until your 30s. Like, live with that person for as many years as possible. I had one cousin who lived with her fiance for literally almost 10 years before they got married. 10 years. And so, I mean, they are still happily together. And then my other cousin, they were only engaged for like a year, if that, and they'd only met like 2 years before that. And guess what? They are divorced now. I mean, that's a specific, it's not always like that. There can be romances that build at different paces. But I think the longer you wait to get married, either that means the safer you'll be. It's like an insurance policy, so you don't have to have like a divorce. But I think the stronger your relationship will be, because I sometimes think if you thrust marriage into a relationship before it's ready to handle that level of commitment, even if you've been together for years, you still might not be ready for that commitment. And it's best to wait until you really feel like you are. And I honestly think it really means waiting until you're in your 30s. Like, I don't know what to say. Like, I just think, I mean, if you really have been with that person for a long, long time, and Miley and Liam have been together for a long time, and that's the thing. I'm like, well, they deserve to get married. It was like everyone was like about damn time, right? When they finally did. But well, especially on Miley's end, she just turned 26. That's still on the young side to get married, especially these days. I know Liam's a little older. He's 29, but yeah, I don't know. It's hindsight's 2020, and I'm sure that's the last thing Miley wants to hear is like, "Oh, you shouldn't have gotten married." It's like, well, I wasn't supposed to know that things were going to fall apart 3 months later, because honestly, you never know what's going to happen. So at the end of the day, I can't fault them for that. It's just unfortunate, but it is a little bit of a cautionary tale for me thinking about marriage. It's just like, because it is that much more embarrassing to family members and everyone. Like, it's just really, really make sure you're sure. Really, really make sure you're sure. Live with that person, grow up to be 30 together with that person. Like, let that, take its sweet time, because I think it's just the marriage thing. It's not that serious, but it is that serious. You know what I mean? Anyway, that's my little tangent about that. What do you think of Slide Away? Are you here for this sound? I'm actually really excited for She Is Here Now. I know there's probably still going to be some hip hop stuff on the music she's going to put out, and there's going to be songs like Catitude that are just going to make me want to like drive a screwdriver into my eyeballs and be like, well, okay, when I was in high school, I probably would have jammed out to this, but I've grown up. I don't listen to that crap anymore. Songs like Catitude are extremely cheesy. And honestly, I don't blame Liam if he's like, okay, I fell in love with the girl who was writing the song Younger Now. I didn't fall in love with a girl who wrote a song called Drugs Rule Everything Around Me and Catitude. So, I don't know. The music is definitely a thing. It's like, oh, Miley and Liam are off again. Looks like Miley's gonna make some bad music. Anyway, I'm sorry. I'm not a Miley stan. I've always loved certain parts of her career, whereas others I've been a little bit more I'll just sit this out for a little while. But it is what it is. Let me know what you think in the comments. Thank you all so much for watching. Have a wonderful, blessed day. Peace, love, and light. Bye.